Mechanism. Introduction to mechanism means when a reaction happen or occur, it may have a different mechanism. Mechanism means like how it proceed the reaction. So to know the how the reaction proceed, first thing you have to identify the types of the reagent, the types of the atoms or the molecule which are taking part in the reaction. So when a covalent bond break down, there are two ways the covalent bond might break down. It might be a homolytic fission. It might be a heterolytic fission. What is the difference between a homolytic and a heterolytic fission? In a homolytic fission means when the covalent bond break between the two atoms, it will break down evenly and both of the atoms take their electron back. Like say hydrogen is there bonded with another hydrogen. Due to any reason, like example, due to the microwaves or any kind of radiation, which is absorbed by these electrons. So when the bond break, this hydrogen take its electron back and this hydrogen also take the electron back. So when the two hydrogens take their electron back and there is no charge appear on these hydrogens, so what we call this type of a bond breaking, we call that as a homolytic bond breaking or a homolytic fission. And what is produced here? It produces a radical. What is the definition of the term radical? Radical means atom or the group of atoms which contain or consist of an unpaired electron. There is unpaired electron present on the atom or the group of atom. We call that as a radical. So whenever a homolytic bond breaking happen or occur, it will always produce a radical. Same way, like example, if you have CH3 attached with another CH3, which is like example making a molecule of ethane. So this is making a molecule of ethane. So this dot is representing the electron of the carbon on the left and the cross is representing the electron for the carbon on the right. So when this bond break down, the two carbon atom example, they take their electron back. So when they take their electron back, what we'll have? We'll have CH3 and dot means it has its electron and we have another CH3 with one cross means this also have electron. So what we call this whole a group of atom which is having an unpaired electron, what we call them as radicals. So whenever a homolytic bond breaking happen or occur, it will produce a radical. Radical does not mean a single atom with an unpaired electron. Radical also means group of atoms with unpaired electron. Is it clear? The concept of homolytic bond breaking? Any doubt in this? So when the bond break, it break evenly, we call homolytic bond breaking. How the product does not have a charge here? Because if you compare the number of electrons and the proton, like say, let's take a simple example of a hydrogen. So let's take an example of a hydrogen. This hydrogen is having one proton and this electron belongs to the hydrogen. This hydrogen is also having one proton. So what will happen when the bond break? When the bond break, this hydrogen take the electron back, this hydrogen also take the electron back. So when both of these hydrogen take their electron back, this hydrogen is having one proton and one electron. This hydrogen is also having one proton and one electron. So what should be the net charge? There is no charge on them because they have equal number of proton. But because they contain a electron which is unpaired. So whenever unpaired electron is present on an atom or group of atoms, what we call them as radical. So I will call this as a hydrogen radical. Another example, let's take example of a fluorine. Let's take example of a fluorine. Fluorine is having, like this is a last shell of a fluorine. The two fluorine atoms, they have a covalent bond between them. How many protons are there in a fluorine? There are 9 protons. And how many total electron? 9 electrons. This also 9 protons and 9 electrons. The net charge is zero. Why the net charge is zero? Because protons are positive, electrons are negative. So the net charge on the radical is always zero. So we have two fluorine, like example, 9 proton and 9 electron. So when the homolytic bond breaking happen, this fluorine take its electron back, this also take the electron back. So when they take their electron back, then the ratio of the electron does not change. How many protons are there? 9. And how many electrons are there? 9. How many protons? 9. And how many electrons? 9. So what is the net charge? The net charge on the radical is 0. But what is the meaning of the term radical? Radical means the radical contain, like the term radical means it contains an unpaired electron. Radical can have lone pairs as well, but there is an unpaired electron present. We call them as radical. Same way, when we have like example, when we have like carbon bonded with hydrogen, radical, the term radical means it's not atom, like at the term atom means like it should be a single particle which contain a nucleus and proton and electrons and a shell. That is atom. But radicals can be atoms, radical can be group of atoms as well. Like here, this example, the example of the ethane. So if you take the example of ethane, like if I count how many, because it's a sharing of electrons, so this carbon contains 6 protons, 6 electron. This hydrogen contains 1 proton, 1 electron. This also 1 proton, 1 electron. 1 proton, 1 electron. 1 proton, 1 electron. 1 proton, 1 electron, and 1 proton, 1 electron. And this has 6 proton and 6 electron. When the bond breaking happen, so this carbon take its electron back, this also take the electron back. So as a result, what will happen? The molecule will break down. The molecule will break down and this molecule will have a electron available for a bonding. So what I will call, and it will not have any charge because it does not take electron or does not lose electron. So what we call that as a radical. So this is a methyl radical. Radical does not mean it's always atom. It can be group of atoms as well. The group of atoms can also form a radical. Is it clear, the concept of the radical? So this is a methyl radical. Any doubt in this? So whenever a molecule break down, if it's a homolytic bond breaking, it will form a radical. Then we have a second type of a bond breaking, which is called heterolytic bond breaking. What is happening in a heterolytic bond breaking? In a heterolytic bond breaking, when the bond break, one of the atom take both of the electrons which are involved in the bonding. So as a result, it will produce the ions. It will not produce a radical, it will produce the ions. We call that as a heterolytic fission or a heterolytic bond breaking. Like hydrogen is bonded with chlorine. Chlorine is having 17 protons and 17 electrons because the covalent bond, it's not a transfer of electron, and hydrogen is having one proton and one electron. In a heterolytic bond breaking, what happened? Both of the electrons are taken by one of the atom and we represent by a full arrow. So when both of the electrons are taken by one atom, so this hydrogen, because it has lost the electron, it has one proton and zero electrons, so this hydrogen will be positive ion, or it will move towards cathode, or we can say it will be a cation. Same thing, the chlorine, which took the bonded electron of the hydrogen as well, it has having 17 proton, but it took an additional electron from hydrogen, so it has 17 proton and 18 electron. So what is the net charge on the chlorine? What is the net charge on the chlorine? The net charge on the chlorine is minus. So when we have more electrons and less proton, the net charge is negative. So whenever a heterolytic bond breaking happen or occur, it will produce the ions, the positive and the negative ions. But when there's a homolytic bond breaking, it will produce the free radicals. Radical means atoms or group of atoms with unpaired electron. So during a chemical reaction, you might have a homolytic bond breaking or you may have a heterolytic bond breaking. And this is a bond breaking for a covalent compounds. Why? Because in organic compounds are covalently bonded. So this is only for covalent compounds, the homolytic and the heterolytic fission. So if I say X and Y, they have a bond, like line is representing a bond, and I represent by half arrow. When I represent by half arrow, it means it will produce a radical. And in chemistry, how we represent a radical? We write the symbol and put a dot on the top, which shows it's a radical like it contains an unpaired electron. But if it was a homolytic bond breaking, heterolytic bond breaking, both of the electrons taken by one of the atom. So in that case, X will be positive ion and the Y will be negative ion. Is it clear? This concept of homolytic and heterolytic? Anyone having a doubt till this point? Okay. Then there's also another term which we use, we call electrophiles and nucleophiles. What is the meaning of the term electrophile? The term electrophile means electron-loving groups. And the nucleophile means nucleus-loving group. Electrophile means attracted towards the side where there are more electrons. We call them as electrophiles. And nucleophiles are attracted towards the side where is like more positive charge. So if I draw, like example, I draw a structure, carbon bonded with chlorine. When a carbon is bonded with chlorine, chlorine is more electronegative. So carbon is partial positive because of difference in electronegativity, and chlorine is partial negative. If a substance A is there and the substance A is attracted towards the carbon positive, what is this? Electrophile or a nucleophile? Electrophile means attracted towards the electron rich side or attracted towards the negative center. And nucleophile means attracted towards the positive center because the nucleus is positive, so attracted towards the positive center. So what is this substance A? Is it an electrophile or a nucleophile? So this substance A, because it is attracted towards the positive center, so what is this substance? It is a nucleophile. No, electrophile attracted towards the negative centers and nucleophiles attracted towards the positive centers. Another substance B is there. Another substance B is there and it is attracted towards chlorine. What I will call this substance? Electrophile or a nucleophile? What I will call this substance? Because the chlorine is a negative center. So if any substance B is there which is attracted towards the chlorine negative center, so we call that as an electrophile. So electrophiles are attracted towards the electron rich side or the negative centers. Yeah, I will explain the definition. Don't worry about that. I'll explain the definition. First thing is recognize whether a substance is electrophile or a nucleophile. That is the first thing. Then I will come to the definition as well. If we have a carbon double bonded with carbon, okay, and a substance X is there which is attracted toward this double bond. What is this substance X? Electrophile or a nucleophile? What is this substance X? Is it electrophile or a nucleophile? The carbon-carbon double bond is there and this substance is attracted towards the carbon-carbon double bond. What is this substance? Is it an electrophile or a nucleophile? So what is this substance? Because it is attracting towards the electron-rich side, the carbon-carbon double bond means electron-rich side. So what is this substance? This is an electrophile. Electrophile means electron-loving group. Like because there is a high density of electron in this region and the substance X is attracted toward this region, that's why the substance S is electrophile. If we have a substance Y is there and it is attracted towards carbon cation, positive. What is this substance? Is it an electrophile or a nucleophile? So because it is attracted towards the positive center, so what we call that as a nucleophile. So you should be able to recognize the substance from its attraction. If it is attracted towards the electron rich side or a negative center, it is an electrophile. But if it is attracted towards the electron deficient side or a positive center, it will be a nucleophile. Now, what is the definition? Like one is to identify, another one is a definition. What is the definition of the electrophile? Electrophiles accept the pair of electron. Look, and they will try to form a new bond. Say I have a carbon-carbon double bond is there. And there's a H plus. And this H plus is attracted towards the carbon-carbon double bond. So when this H plus is attracted towards the carbon-carbon double bond, what is this H plus? This H plus is electrophile, means electron loving group. And now this electron loving group, what it will do? Because why we call them an electron loving group? Because they are electron deficient. Like they don't have too much electrons. So this hydrogen will try to take these electrons from the carbon and form a bond. So what it will do in terms of electron, it will try to accept the pair of electron to form a bond. So if it try to accept the pair of electron to form a bond, that's a definition of the electrophile. So electrophile, what they do, they are attracted towards the electron rich side and then they try to steal that electron or take that electron to form a new bond. So the definition of electrophile, they are electron pair acceptors. Is it clear? This definition of the electrophile? So simply what are electrophiles? Electrophiles are electron pair acceptor. So what about the nucleophiles? The definition of a nucleophile, electron pair donors. For a substance to be a nucleophile, two things are, if a substance is a nucleophile, then it should either it will have a negative charge or it might have a lone pair of electron or might have both of them. So both all possibilities are there. How a substance can be a nucleophile? So we have carbon bonded with chlorine. Chlorine is partial negative, carbon is partial positive. And there's a OH. So OH is having a lone pair and a negative charge. So where this OH will be attracted, the hydroxide ion, where it will be attracted? Towards the carbon or chlorine? So it will be attracted towards the carbon. When it is attracted towards the carbon, what is OH? OH is a nucleophile. Because it is attracted towards the positive center, it's a nucleophile. And what you see on this, you will see a charge and you will see electron as well. So what this OH will do, OH will try to form a bond with the carbon, new bond with the carbon, and this bond will break. So when the group of atoms or atoms, how OH is negative, we have a water molecule. In a water molecule, the water is neutral. Okay. Then what will happen when oxygen take both of the electron, the heterolytic bond breaking happen or occur, the OH ion will become a neutral ion, the negative ion, and the H will become a positive ion. So this OH is attracted towards the carbon, and when it is attracted towards the carbon, it is trying to form a bond with the carbon. What we call this, we call that as a nucleophile. So what is the characteristic of the nucleophile? That the nucleophile contain a pair of electron or a negative charge or both of that. So what are the nucleophiles? The nucleophiles are having the lone pair or the negative charge. The nucleophiles are having a lone pair or they have a negative charge and it is attracted towards the positive center. And the electrophiles are the electron deficient group. So they attract towards the electron rich side and try to form a bond. Is it clear? The difference between electrophiles and nucleophiles? So condition to be a nucleophile, it must have an electron pair. It may have a charge or may not have a charge. That is another thing. But the one condition to be a nucleophile, it must have an electron pair. It can be a lone pair. It can be an additional. Like example, if I say NH3, NH3 nitrogen bonded with hydrogen and there's a lone pair. What do you think? It will be an electrophile or a nucleophile? What do you think it should be? An electrophile or a nucleophile? So because it is having a lone pair, it is having an electron pair, so we expect that this will be a nucleophile. Why? Because these electrons will be attracted towards the positive center. And if it is an electrophile, it must have a charge because, or electron deficient, it must have a positive charge or might have a partial positive charge. So in this case, like example, hydrogen partial positive, chlorine partial negative. So it is attracted towards the negative center or disattracted. So we call them as a electrophile. So we may have electrophile or the nucleophiles. Is it clear the difference between electrophile, nucleophile and the free radicals? Any doubt or a question in this?